BAHAMAR Vice President Robert Sands says talks over the distribution of costs for roadworks associated with the mega resort are going smoothly. Coming off a disagreement with the government about just how much of the cost it was obligated to pay for the rerouting and reconstruction of West Bay Street, Sands says resolution may be near.
Under the former administration, the government agreed to pay some $48.1 million towards roadworks that were expected to cost around $90 million in total. But when the Christie administration took office last year, an assessment was done and it was determined that BAHAMAR spent in excess of $100 million. It was also outlined that the government would pay half the cost if the work ended up costing less than $70 million. In this report, Janae Noel Ferguson talks with Sands about the road to resolution.
Government and BAHAMAR executives have been in somewhat of a tug of war over monies owed for the construction of the new Cable Beach corridor. The resort conducted the work and negotiations were made under the Ingram administration. But despite the controversy, Vice President of BAHAMAR Robert Sands says a resolution is near.
Well, we continue to work with the government to resolve this matter, and we are making progress in that particular area. And the government has made payments on that obligation, and so we continue to work with them for a resolution, and we are very hopeful that that should be solved in the not-too-distant future.
Now, according to our sources, the government has already paid some $30 million to BAHAMAR officials, and Sands confirmed that the government has paid more than 50% of the amount owed.
Well, at 48.3 is due, so there is an obligation to a finite amount, but amounts have been paid on account for over a year, so they have made payments towards the settlement of that outstanding amount.
Sands refused to comment further, but says their relationship with the government has not been strained and they continue to work together in preparation for the grand opening next year. As for critics who may feel that BAHAMAR cannot compete with the upscale Atlantis resort, Sands had this response.
BAHAMAR will survive. It will complement what is already taking place at Atlantis. The two resorts will in fact be successful, and together we will ensure that the Bahamas tourism product is propelled and tourism returns to its original glory. Well, we're meeting all of our milestones. Certainly our golf course should be completed by second quarter of next year. Our convention center certainly by that same time frame next year. You would see certainly roofs going on all the buildings, sliding glass doors, the exterior facade. Contracts are being let for the groundworks and pool works. Tremendous progress.
Meanwhile, we're told the hiring of Bahamians is ongoing as the resort moves from developmental to operational. Recruitment exercises for Bahamians are also being held in the U.S. and Canada. Sands says there is also an advantage for participants of the National Training Agency.
Is that they would have articulated a training program that ensures that they have certain basic skill sets that put them in the potential pool for hiring. We currently have in excess of 15,000 applications to date. But I can tell you that we have close to almost 100 Bahamians who are working, 25 of which are in the human resources area and recruitment.
Sands says the resort is aiming to hire the creme de la creme, and upon opening, it is anticipated that some 6,000 Bahamians will be engaged. Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.